When people talk about the greatest Resident Evil game, the conversation usually goes in one of three directions. Some say Resident Evil 2 perfected the survival horror formula. Others argue Resident Evil 4 revolutionized gaming entirely. And then there are the fans who love the modern remakes. But for me, the best game in the entire series is the one that started it all, the original Resident Evil from 1996. Not because it's the most polished or because it has the best graphics, and definitely not because of the voice acting, but because no other game in the franchise captures pure survival horror quite like the original. And today, I'm going to explain exactly why. One of the greatest achievements of the original Resident Evil is the setting. The Spencer Mansion isn't just a backdrop, it's the star of the show. From the moment you step inside, the mansion feels wrong. The lighting is dim, the hallways are narrow. Every room seems to hide a secret. And because of the fixed camera angles, you never know what's waiting just off screen. Modern horror games often rely on jump scares, but the original Resident Evil relies on tension. You slowly learn the layout of the mansion. You remember which doors are locked. You memorize where enemies are. You become familiar with the environment. And then the game changes something. A zombie appears where it wasn't before. A hunter suddenly replaces weaker enemies. A hallway you thought was safe becomes dangerous again. The mansion feels alive. Like it's actively trying to kill you. No other Resident Evil location has ever felt quite as memorable. Not Raccoon City, not the Baker House, and not the Village. The Spencer Mansion is gaming's greatest haunted house. One of the biggest differences between the original Resident Evil and later entries is how vulnerable you are. In many Resident Evil games, especially the action-heavy ones, you're almost a one-man army. You have tons of weapons and a huge amount of ammunition. And enemies eventually become obstacles instead of real threats. The original Resident Evil doesn't let you feel comfortable. Every bullet matters, every healing item matters, every decision matters. You kill a zombie, or do you save your ammo and risk running past it? Do you use your last green herb now, or save it for something worse? These choices create tension constantly. The game isn't just asking if you can survive, it's asking whether you can make good decisions. And that's what survival horror is supposed to be. One of the things the original game does better than almost every sequel is pacing. The game constantly alternates between exploration, combat, and puzzle solving. And also, moments of pure dread. After a stressful encounter, you're given time to breathe. Then the game slowly builds tension again. Then it hits you with another terrifying moment. It's almost musical, a rhythm of fear and relief. Later games become more action-orientated. They throw dozens of enemies at you. They rely on spectacle. The original relies on atmosphere. It understands that horror isn't about non-stop chaos. It's about the anticipation. It's about wondering what's behind the next door. Resident Evil's storyline eventually became complicated. There were superpowers, global conspiracies, secret organizations, and bioweapons everywhere. But the original game is refreshingly simple. A special police team investigates mysterious murders. They become trapped in a mansion, and they discover horrifying experiments hidden beneath it. And that's it. The simplicity works because it keeps the focus exactly where it should be, on surviving. The mystery unfolds naturally. You read files, you discover secrets, you slowly piece together what happened. It feels grounded. Because of that, the horror feels more believable. It's easy to forget just how important the original Resident Evil was. The game didn't just launch a franchise, it defined survival horror. Limited resources, inventory management, puzzle-focused exploration, save rooms, typewriters, tension over action. Countless games borrowed from this formula. Without the original Resident Evil, horror gaming would look completely different. And despite all the technological advancements since 1996, very few games have managed to replicate the feeling of that first playthrough. Walking through the mansion, hearing that first zombie, watching it slowly turn its head towards the camera. And yes, the voice acting is cheesy, and the dialogue is hilarious, and the controls are dated, but somehow those flaws have become part of the experience. They give the game personality. The original Resident Evil has an identity that no other entry fully captured. It's creepy, it's weird, it's campy, it's serious and ridiculous at the same time. And somehow, all those elements combine into something unforgettable. Is Resident Evil 2 more refined? Probably. Is Resident Evil 4 more influential? You could probably argue that. Are some of the later games more accessible? Well, that's for sure. But when I think about what Resident Evil is, what it's supposed to be, exploration, tension, limited resources, fear of the unknown, and the feeling of being trapped in a nightmare, nothing represents that vision better than the original game. The first Resident Evil isn't just the beginning of the franchise, it's still the purest version of it. And that's why, even after all these years, the original Resident Evil remains the best game in the series. Let me know what your favourite Resident Evil game is and why. And if you disagree, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.